my name is Dr. Kathryn Taketa-Wong. I'm a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist, and I'm practicing in Honolulu, Hawaii. My specialty is in helping children with autism and other special needs, and I'm a Medical Academy of Pediatric Special Needs trained physician. I've been in practice for about 10 years, and I graduated from the National University of Natural Medicine.
What were you feeling most frustrated with before being a part of the Income on Autopilot Accelerator? And then I know you continued on in our Introverted Visionaries Mastermind. So what were you most frustrated with?
I think I was most frustrated before with not having consistent patients at first and struggling with retention for patients. I was fairly busy, but then there would be times where I would have patients drop off of the schedule, or I was frustrated, I would say, about retention. And yeah, so I think that was the biggest thing. And I think I was really frustrated about really feeling like I was a slave to my practice and just being chained to my work all the time. My poor husband has been incredibly supportive in the whole journey of starting my practice, but it's been challenging for him. He's really had to take on a lot. And so I think that's really what I was most frustrated about, is just spending so much time with work instead of with family.
Because you have kids, right?
Yeah. I have 2 children now.
How did you feel about it back then?
I was just worn out emotionally, physically, mentally, just feeling like there was just such a toll on me and on my family. And also frustrated when patients weren't as consistent, or when there were holes in the schedule that I couldn't fill. I think also frustrated sometimes with finding the right people, the right staff people. That was another thing that I think it really helped me a lot in terms of the hiring process. So,
what would you say was a turning point moment when you felt like I need to do something about this?
I think when my husband said, "You're not married to me, you're married to your work." And it really just felt like, wow, I need to do something about this. Like, I need to change. I can't go on like this. This isn't sustainable, because my marriage is really important to me. And I've always thought that family is more important to me than work, but I was realizing that work was just consuming everything.
What were you feeling as you took the leap to be a part of first the Income on Autopilot Accelerator? Any hesitation?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had hesitation. It was a big financial commitment, and I wasn't sure about it. But I remember watching your videos and just feeling like, okay, I need to change something, because if I keep doing what I've been doing and expecting a different result, that's insanity, right? So if I expect a different result, then I really need to do something different. I need to change that in order to get a different set of results.
What's changed for you that you're excited about?
My practice has definitely grown. So I think I actually did the 6-figure speaking makeover mentorship first, and then the Income on Autopilot mentorship. And I really felt like the speaking mentorship really helped in terms of just knowing what elements to put in place when I was doing public speaking. I have quite a bit of experience with public speaking. I don't usually feel nervous with public speaking, but I was frustrated with the low conversion rate when I was speaking. And then again, frustrated with the lack of consistency of new patients and clients. And, as I found that as I put some of those elements into place that you talked about, those were so helpful with getting better conversions. Also, when talking to potential new clients or patients, I have them schedule a potential new patient 15-minute phone consult. And now I had a structure that you had given me to be able to work off of. And that was so helpful. To this day, I still pull it up every single time I have a potential new patient phone consult, and I have that structure there, that outline, and I I read a lot of the things from, and so I still use that every single time I talk to potential new patients, and that's been really helpful. And what has changed? I mean, gosh, a lot has changed. Now my practice is very busy. It's booked quite full. I'm booked out about, I would say about 2.5 months out. So it takes now about 2 to 2.5 months for new patients to get in to see me. It's very consistent. We don't have any trouble filling spots if patients cancel or reschedule, just because I have a pretty long wait list. And because it takes so long for new patients to get in to see me, then they're usually happy if the spot opens up sooner so they can get in to see me sooner. And definitely income has increased. And so that has made me better able to pay my staff better and hire and retain better staff. And I think another big thing that has changed is there were a lot of things in the hiring process that I didn't know or I wasn't aware of. And I also did a workshop that you had on hiring specifically. That has been really helpful for me, being able to have a process that has been so helpful. I know that some of the questions I ask references when I call past employers and talk to them, they're like, wow, these are really good questions. And they say, wow, where'd you get these questions? And I mention your name. And so it's been really helpful to, I think, be able to screen and find much better hires, and that has been really, really helpful in the whole process.
Tell us a little bit about your practice, like your service offerings, and what do you charge?
So my practice offerings, I see mostly children with autism and special needs. I do see some general family medicine patients. So we have programs. When I first started with you, I think I was charging, I think it was 100 something or a little under 200 an hour. And now my regular rate, so I started programs with patients, and that has really helped with retention. And so now they have to commit to X number of visits. We have various types of programs. And with the program now, if people don't enroll in a program, then my rate is about $400 an hour. If they enroll in a program, then the rate is about $318 per hour plus tax. So with tax, it's I think about $338 an hour. Raising my prices, I was very hesitant about raising my prices, but that has definitely helped for sure, of course, with the cash flow. I think that's been a big shift for me, is that knowing that I am worth that and that I can charge more.
We are booked 2 months out, right?
Yeah, 2.5 months out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like I'm charging more than before, and I'm busier than I was before when I was charging less. So yeah.
And what got you into doing this work?
My younger brother is an adult on the autism spectrum, and growing up, I was like the second mom. I'm 6 years older than him. I was always the big sister, helping him with his homework or tutoring him, defending him when a lot of kids would bully him and tease him. And I even went to his IEP meetings, or his individualized education program meetings, that is usually the parents and the teachers go to, and it's a planning meeting for children with special needs to help plan out what their goals are for the next year. And so I would go to those meetings and I would speak up, I would share my observations of him, and I would participate in those meetings, even though I wasn't an adult. I really saw how so many people helped him. Growing up, I knew that I wanted to help him and children like him. So I did research, and as I learned more about the medical side of autism, then I really felt like this is really what I want to do. And then I learned about naturopathic medicine. It just really fit my philosophy. It resonated. And that's how I got into it. It's the biggest passion of my life. I love working with these children. They're so special, and it's really a blessing and a joy to work with these children, and also to just see them getting better. It's absolutely amazing to see these children getting better, and I see it every day. It's like a miracle, and that's really what drives my passion. That's why I do what I do. Yeah.
What was it like for you to have the done for you templates and scripts?
Those are so helpful. They're so helpful because it saves me so much time in having to create it myself or figure things out or figure out what or how to do things. So yeah, that has been so helpful. And I'm sure saved me so many years of work and figuring things out on my own, because I feel like I spent a lot of time before that trying to just figure things out on my own. Yeah.
What was it like for you to try to figure things out on your own?
It was hard. It was frustrating. I do have a local business consultant that's been extremely helpful. But I think one of the big pieces too of the mentorship has really been, I think, that fellowship with other healthcare practitioners and talking with them and masterminding with them and learning from them, seeing what they're doing, and I think realizing how I've grown and being able to share the things that I've learned and also learning from them, that has been a huge help. That has been really, really helpful.
What do you include in your packages right now?
The packages have definitely evolved. When I first started doing packages or programs, it was just a series of visits, but now I include the visits, I include a twice monthly email newsletter in that, and I also include monthly Zoom webinars exclusively for patients who are enrolled in the programs. That has been really helpful too, because some of that piece of the automation, because there were a lot of things before where I would just repeat myself over and over again. And it gets kind of tiring, you know? And so now I've done those webinars for patients. I have them all recorded. Now I can, instead of having to take time during the visit, I can just say, I have a really helpful video that I've recorded that goes over this particular thing in a lot more depth than we have time to go over. So I'm going to send you the recording, make sure to take time to watch it because this is really important for you. That has been so helpful because it's so much quicker to say that than having to take 5, 10, 15 minutes. And most of my webinars have been anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. So of course, it's a lot more depth of being able to explain things than I would have time in my one-on-one visits. So I include that in the programs. Also office support. Patients can text me if they have questions directly. So that's one of the things that we do. Also for patients who are enrolled in programs, I recently started a new, I guess, a separate stream of income. So I'm doing neurooptimal neurofeedback, and that's a separate cost. It's separate from the one-on-one patient visits. But then if they're enrolled in a program with me, then they get an extra 10% off of the cost of neurooptimal neurofeedback sessions. And so that has been helpful too, just getting that started. But there are already a lot of people who are interested. And so getting another income stream is really exciting. The patients who are enrolled in programs get an extra 10% off of that. It's another way to offer, I think, another therapy that is helpful for patients, because I really find it so helpful for so many children with autism and ADHD and other special needs. But then it's also another income stream. And that's been really helpful, because with that, my staff can do it, and then I don't actually have to run the sessions or be there. And so it brings in another stream of income without me having to do more work.
What made you decide to, because you continued on into the Introverted Visionaries Mastermind, what made you decide to be a part of our Introverted Visionaries Mastermind?
The biggest thing was having a vision for where I wanted to go long term. And I felt like I was working with a local business consultant. He's incredibly helpful. But I also felt like there was, I would ask about our long-term goals. And I remember I went to one of the in-person sessions, the Introverted Impact and Income. And I mapped out my big goal, my 10x goal. What's my big long-term vision of the biggest thing that I want to do and what I want to see the practice grow into and become. And I felt like before I was just kind of working on just the day-to-day, week-to-week, maybe month-to-month kind of things, but there weren't any goals. There weren't quarterly goals. There weren't annual goals. There wasn't, I think, a long-term big picture with where I would say, because I got a glimpse and I wrote it all down and I had this big 10x vision in my head, but then there was no plan or map to get there. It was just working from day to day and week to week, but there was no plan for like, okay, this is my big vision and how am I going to get there? And I feel like with the Introverted Visionaries Mastermind, that is a really, really helpful piece of things, because we're mapping out the annual goals, the quarterly goals, and then looking at the next few years beyond that in year 2, 3, 4, 5. For the next 5 years, what is my map? You know, where do I want to be in a year from now? Where do I want to be in 5 years? How am I going to get there? And I think that big long-term vision is probably one of the biggest things that has been really helpful with mapping that out. Yeah. So now I feel like I have a plan and a way to be able to get there.
How does it feel to have more of a plan?
It's huge. I mean, it's exciting because I can see where I'm going to go. And now that I have a plan, then I have a way to step by step work towards getting to where I want to be. There are still more things in the practice that I'm still working on. I still definitely want to free up more time so I can spend more time with my family. It's certainly better now. I think a big thing is that having more money, essentially more funds, enabled me to hire a medical assistant that was full-time, that could really full-time help me with just my things. So in a way, she's kind of like a personal assistant with all the business side of things, because before the admin were doing their work, but I just have so much on my plate that I wasn't always getting back to patients in a timely manner, and I'm still working on that. But now that I have a full-time person, that administrative person that's helping me with just my things, that has relieved a huge amount of my stress and has really helped me to catch up and be able to stay caught up. That has been a huge stress reliever. My next step is to hire another healthcare practitioner who can take on some of my patients, to be able to free up some of my time so that I can finally stop working on Saturdays and actually have a weekend with my family, so that my husband doesn't have to watch both of our kids by himself the whole day on Saturday. And I could have an actual weekend to spend with my family. So that's the next step. And I'm really excited to be able to work on those next steps so that I can have more time to spend with my family.
Awesome. How has this been different from other business trainings that you've had in the past?
Well, we had a very, very minimal type of business training when I was in school. It was helpful, I think, to get a basic idea, but I mean, at the time I hadn't even started my business. I was still in school and I had no business experience. So a lot of things I had no context for what they were talking about. And it was just a series of some seminars, but then there was nothing ongoing to follow up, to keep me accountable, to help put things into place. I think a big piece with the mentorship has really been that big long-term vision of what are our annual goals? Where am I going to be in year 2, 3, 4, 5 from now? The quarterly goals, the quarterly practice, audit reviews that we do as a group, and allowing me time to really evaluate the business, set my goals. I think a big piece that's different is the mentorship. I never had any other business trainings that had the mentorship piece where I could really mastermind and talk with other healthcare practitioners who are in the same boat, same field as I am, who they really get where I'm coming from. They get the struggles, they've been there, they're doing it. And just talking with them about various kinds of things, struggles or things I'm working on or things I'm wondering about, things I'm not sure about. I can throw things out to the group about, hey, what do you think about this? Or get feedback on things, edit things I'm working on, and really be able to get input to refine things before I release it. And before, it was just kind of me and my local business consultant was working through things, but then we're both on the inside, right? We don't have an outside perspective. And so I didn't really have things like outside perspectives that could really help me to be able to refine things before I even put things out. So that has been really, really helpful.
And how,
It's been emotionally so nice to have that support from other people who really get it, because a lot of times your family or your friends who aren't in the same boat, they don't really get it, or your spouse or significant other, they oftentimes don't have the experience of being a healthcare provider, of owning their own business, of knowing what it's like. And so just having that support has been huge. We have these group sessions where with Jamie and some of the other coaches in the program that are hugely helpful with keeping me accountable, giving me vision, giving me feedback. And I think also just having I've had mastermind buddies who email me and keep me accountable for things. It's been such a huge support emotionally, mentally, just to know that I'm not alone and to throw things out and get feedback and get their support too. That has been huge.
yeah, we women really need that, right? And really smart men do too. You're juggling a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, but it was really funny because in one of our group sessions, it was the holistic introverts, I think, accountability meeting is what it's called. And we were just talking about how a lot of times as healthcare providers and caring for other people, and especially a lot of women tend to do this, but we just tend to put everybody else before ourselves. We take care of our kids and our families and our patients before us. And so that was a big thing that I was talking with a group about, and they provided a lot of support and also some accountability with reminding me I need to take my own advice with going to bed early and stopping work and taking care of myself so I can get enough sleep. And they've been really helpful with providing accountability for that, because I just tend to be a workhorse and I just keep going and going and going. And I have to learn to just stop and, and take care of myself. That has been, I would say, really helpful with having that accountability piece. Be like, okay, you need to do this. You need to take care of yourself. So that's been really helpful because, yeah, I need to do that for myself too. Yeah.
Who do you have as part of your team right now?
And with my staff, there's me, there's my local business consultant. He kind of helps me with, I guess, more of like kind of getting done the day-to-day, week-to-week kind of things. And then I have 3 other staff members. So I have 2 full-time staff members and then 1 part-time staff member. They're medical assistants, they're all administrative staff, but I think that's another difference, is that my staff has really grown, because when I first started working with you, I only had 1 staff person, and now my staff has grown to 2 full-time and then 1 part-time administrative staff members. And that's really helpful because as my practice has grown, there's been more workload, more things that need to be done. One of those full-time staff members is really, she does take care of some of the things in the office, but a lot of what her focus is helping me with my own things, helping me with charting, helping me with corresponding to emails and patient requests for letters and forms and all those other things.
What's your big vision that you're really excited about?
My big 10x vision is one day to create a multidisciplinary center for children with autism and special needs. And I'm networking with other practitioners that have that same vision and goal. And so I wrote it down. So it's a center that would have all kinds of healthcare practitioners, pediatricians, neurologists, gastroenterologists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, behavioral therapists, music therapists, equine therapy, which is like horse therapy, psychologists, counselors, support people, that there would be a support group for families with autism. There would be a retreat component where families can come to Hawaii, or even local families need a retreat because we usually never go on vacation in Hawaii in our own home state. These parents really need respite. They need a break. So having a retreat for parents and having support groups, and in the retreat, parents would have someone who would help to take care of their child. They would get meals. They would have cooking classes, learn how to cook in a healthy way, how to help children with special needs, particularly autism, they're extremely picky eaters, and there's a lot of challenges with getting them to eat healthy foods. And so they would learn about how to help their children eat healthier. There would be a nonprofit component that would be raising funds and helping families that have financial limitations be able to afford some of these aspects of the program. There would just be a cohesive kind of one-stop shop where all of these different providers are on the same page, working together, meeting together, sharing information to be able to really have a coordinated, comprehensive plan for these children to really be able to help them, because there's so many different aspects of their care and there's so many different areas that need to be put into place. Another thing is the support with teaching parents to advocate for their children and teaching individuals on the spectrum to be able to advocate for themselves. So there would be a self-advocacy component as well. There would be a lot of focus on education of the public, education of physicians, of therapists. There's also another program called the Sunrise program that I really like. So there would be all of these different facets that would be integrated and put into place and really provide the kind of care that these children really need.
That's amazing. A much needed kind of care and would help so many people. So I'm can't wait as it comes to fruition for you.
It's a big long-term vision. It's one step at a time, but I already have a lot of the network with a lot of these providers in place. We refer out to each other all the time. Oh, that's been another thing that's really helpful about the mentorship and the training that you've done, is networking with other healthcare providers and physicians, how to connect with them, ask for referrals, establishing that referral network. That has been really helpful, because before I really felt like, oh, I don't know what to say, or how do I connect with them? How do I get in with them? And now I have some referral networks that are very established, that are very helpful, and I'm still working on that even more. But that has been another part that has been so helpful.
If you knew then what you know now, what advice would you give?
Wow. Well, I mean, I think looking back at myself when I was first on the cusp of it, I just had this gut feeling that you need to do this. And I couldn't really afford it at the time, but I think I just had trust and I just jumped for it and had trust, and I figured out a way to do it. Looking back, I honestly don't have any regrets. I think I would give that same advice to people, is that if you have a gut feeling that if this is right for you, and even if you're not sure how you're going to afford it or do it, I would say if you have a gut feeling that this is right, then trust that. Trust your gut, absolutely. And I'm really grateful for taking that leap. And that has been really helpful for me. And honestly, even though it was a little bit of a stretch for me financially at the time, I honestly don't regret it, because I really feel like I feel like it's really helped me grow my business to the point where it is now, and be able to look at where is it going to go in the future and how do I get to that big 10x vision.
What would you say to someone who might be on the fence?
Again, just trust your gut. Listen to your gut, tune into your gut. And if your gut says yes, trust your gut and go for it. So.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, Kathryn. So awesome to hear about the whole journey and continued growth and expansion and helping more people who really need it, and about your vision too. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And for those of you who are listening and are frustrated because you're feeling like you're at a plateau, but you just know you're capable of so much more, then feel free to reach out to us, and happy to give you insight into your biggest frustrations right now and how we can help you grow faster. So you could do more of the work that you're meant to do, and also have more ease and flow in your practice. So go to introvertedvisionary.com and request a free chat with us, and happy to help you grow faster.